Hello and welcome. This is the first time you're watching and listening, I'm Sheila Balgobin and I am the Dream Decipherer, and I help you to crack the code of your sleep and dreams so you can sleep sound and dream deep. This evening, I have a whopper set of dreams, for a series of four dreams, and I'm just going to dive right into them. But I tell you, that involves demons and hunting demons and indecent proposals and all sorts. So let's get right into it. In the first dream, the dreamer reports that it was a very scary and nightmarish dream, and that there was a powerful demon that was attacking Buddhist and temples and Christian churches. And the end result being that people who were good were beginning to lose their faith and become more selfish. Now, apparently all of the spiritual masters and priests and uh, religious uh, representatives or pastors and whatnot, that were actually capable of fighting against this demon had disappeared. They'd been driven away, from churches and temples, etc., from the dreamer's area. And then one local temple, the dreamer reports, even had a shrine made to this demon. Apparently, there was only one small group of people in an alternative or esoteric community who were actually aware of the demon and what the demon was about and was doing. The dreamer then reports that he went to Chinatown to look for a friend to see if the friend was aware of this demon and if he would join the fight to resist the efforts of this demon. The dreamer expresses a worry that there was a massacre that was about to happen because of the demon's violent behavior, against particularly against people who were resisting their his its efforts. The dreamer then reports that he went back to a campsite or maybe a tower block, and in the local community where people were putting up resistance. There was a fire, no one was around, but the dreamer nevertheless entered into a building and was confronted by a blue punk. That's what it says, a blue punk, who the dreamer then realizes is actually the demon itself. This blue punk demon says to the dreamer that he's going to leave the dreamer alone because, but never finishes the sentence because the dreamer woke up. The dreamer was scared, but was willing to put up a fight, um, because he just didn't trust the demon to actually leave him alone. But nevertheless, there was no fight, because the dreamer woke up. That's the end of the first dream. Lots of stuff going on there. The next dream, where has the dreamer at flirting at work with a colleague who is actually sitting on his lap, and the dreamer whispers something into the woman's ear, and the woman replies that she's married, she can't do that. And then the dreamer whispers something else into the dreamer's ear, and the woman replies, "Oh, I can do that." And the dream ends there. Telling you, there's a lot going on in these dreams. The third dream, the dreamer is talking to a child in his son's class at school. The child wasn't actually at school, and the friend asked whether the dreamer's child, would be attending the next day. And the dreamer replies that, or actually a we, reply, he says that no, that the child would not be in school the next day, but the following day, which was Thursday. So presumably, if this was a Tuesday that the child asked the question. At the same time, or following that, the dreamer and his two brothers are talking to a parent, a mother, outside the school, and the mother is telling them that the mother of the um, child, the dreamer's child, apparently has a father who's one of three brothers and is a very tough gangster. And the dreamer and the brothers, who were actually who the woman was talking about, um, says, "Really, which one of them is the gangster?" And the woman obviously has no clue as to who she's talking to. The dream ends there. The fourth and final dream, the dreamer and accompanied by someone, it just says we, or had been invited to the narthex of their local church after picking their children up from school. During this visit at the narthex of the church, the dreamer is talking to a friend when someone, out of for no apparent reason, tells them to be quiet. On the other hand, there's another person at the church in the narthex who's actually trying to encourage people to mingle and offers the dreamer and the people accompanying him a glass of Coke. And the dream ends there. Now, as I said, there is a lot going on in each of these dreams, but there are more than likely, being that they were dreamt in close sequence with each other, that they are related in some way. But it's going to take us a little bit of time to untangle all of this. But we'll start with the first dream. The dreamer reports that the dream was very scary, that this demon was going around and basically wrecking Christian and Buddhist congregations, and turning the people into these very selfish, self-centered creatures. And my first question around this is, does this demon have a name? And or is it just kind of this nameless, faceless demon? But does it have an appearance? Does it have a name? Does it have a particular way of being? What does this demon? How does this demon identified other than being a demon? This demon's purpose seems simply to be to turn people to the dark side of their natures and become increasingly selfish. And the spiritual leaders, interestingly enough, are all absent. They've all been driven away by this powerful demon. Now, one of the things, the dreamer even reports that in his local community, somebody had opened a shrine to worship this demon. Now, one of my first questions around this was, why only Christian and Buddhist? Is this demon just wants to turn people in selfish generally? Why particularly Christians and Buddhists? Is there's some relationship in the outside world where this is relevant? Just curious as to, it's very directed in terms of who's being who's being attacked here. Um, Now, there's only a small group, an elite group, you could almost say, that actually knows what this demon is about. And they're an esoteric or alternative community. The esoteric community or alternative community kind of implies it could be New Age. It could be some kind of secret society, or certainly a minority group of some kind that understands the nature of this attack that's going on. Now, the dreamer expresses a fear around the violence of the violent behavior of the demon, and that a massacre may actually take place as a result. So, to kind of join forces with others fighting against the demon, the dreamer goes off into a building which had been apparently set on fire, but the fire apparently had been put out. But goes into this building, where, and again, buildings of any kind generally represent our inner selves. The different rooms in the building or a house can represent different aspects of our lives or ourselves. Now, in this house, the dreamer encounters a blue punk. Now, what that blue punk is about, I'm not quite sure. Is it the guy has blue hair, dressed in blue clothes, has blue skin? I'm not sure what the blue punk is about, but nevertheless, maybe he has a blue mohawk. Don't know. Um, but the this the dreamer realizes that this blue punk is actually the demon that everybody's trying to fight against. Strangely enough, this demon says to the dreamer that, I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm going to leave you alone. Why the dreamer? Why is the dreamer going to be left alone by this demon? What or who does this demon actually represent? If this demon is inside a building or inside the dreamer's inner house, what does it represent? Who or what is this demon? And yet the demon says, all right, you can hang out, but I'll leave you alone. But he never actually gives a reason as to why he's going to leave the dreamer alone. And the dreamer actually wakes up at that point. And my question here is, what does the dreamer possibly think is the reason why this demon would leave him alone? Has he kind of made some kind of pact with the devil like Faust? What's going on there? So the dreamer is doesn't believe the demon when he says he's going to leave him alone, even though he's scared. He's willing to put up a fight anyway. And the phrase that came to mind here is that in the one you hear, like, the devil is a liar, and is the father of lies. So you can't believe anything a demon says, because it's probably more than likely going to be a lie. So there's if this inner demon, if we look at this building that the dreamer is in as the inner house or inner life of the dreamer, what is this demon that the dreamer can't believe or put any faith in? We'll leave that for a moment. There's a lot more that could come out of that, but that's the kind of the main ideas that have been pulled out of it so far. In the second dream, it's basically an office or impending office romance. Now, we had an impending massacre in the first dream, and now an impending affair in the second. Now, this female colleague is sitting on the dreamer's lap. Where? At work, someplace else, we don't know. It doesn't say. But the dreamer is whispering sweet little nothings or dirty little nothings into the woman's ear. And my question is this person, first of all, is this someone that's actually known in waking life? And rather than think about them as themselves, what could they possibly represent? Because again, this this dream takes place indoors in a building. So, and again, another room in the internal world of the dreamer. Has something similar to this actually happened in waking life? Now, the dreamer is whispering things into the woman's ear, um, doesn't specify what those words were. But the first set of, of whispered words, the woman says, "Oh, sorry, I'm married. I can't do that." My question is, well, what is that? Um, does the dreamer know? Does the dreamer have any ideas what that may have been? And if she can't do that because she's a married woman, why is she sitting on his lap in the first place? Doesn't There's a bit of a disconnect there. Um, when the dreamer whispers a second time, the the woman actually says that she could do that or she can do that. So my question here is, what is this alternative proposal that was different from the first? There's a suggestion by the dreamer that there was something kinky about the request, the second request, but nothing specified. And I just wonder if there is reason in waking life where um, perhaps life has become a bit dull, and there's a fantasy that perhaps is being expressed, or a desire to have an experience being expressed in this dream. A kind of compensatory dream in that sense. And what I mean by that is that our waking life, our conscious mind and activity is counterbalanced by our unconscious mind. The conscious mind is like a little cork floating on what's an ocean of the unconscious. So the unconscious is sending these messages, and the conscious mind isn't always aware, isn't always perceiving. And I just wonder if this is compensation for the waking life that is maybe lacking a little bit of spice, a little bit of interest, is a little bit too vanilla, and the dream is expressing a wish to mix things up a bit more, perhaps. So that's the second dream. And now moving on to dream three, we look at again um, the the dreamer still at his children's school, and conversing with one of his son's schoolmates, who's inquiring as to when the child will next be in school. Now, that's interesting that there's this connection with schooling going on in this dream, and it. I wonder if the boys, the absent son, as well as the son's friend, represent some younger aspect of the dreamer himself as the shadow, some undeveloped or unknown part of the dreamer's self, which is depicted or represented in these two schoolboys, the son and his friend. Again, there's a we. It's almost a royal we that's being used here by the dreamer. That the we were at the school and we were talking with. Who is the we being referred to? And just the question here is, what does school represent for the dreamer, both in waking life and as part of this dream? And what do the two boys represent, the son and the friend, not as themselves, but as what qualities that perhaps are resonating in some way with the dreamer? Next, after that, the dreamer is joined by his two brothers, and maybe this is the we that's been referred to earlier, and they're conversing with a parent, a mother, outside of the school, the children's school, and the mother is talking unknowingly about about the dreamer and the two brothers, saying that the dreamer's son's dad is one of three men and is a hard gangster, and the dreamer kind of takes the mick, takes the piss out of them by asking, really, tell me about which one of them is a gangster then. So having a bit of fun with this woman who's spreading gossip to exactly the wrong people, the people she's talking about. There's a hint of amusement here, with regard to the this conversation with this woman. Um, she just doesn't have a clue as to what she's doing or what she's saying and how she's saying it to the wrong people. Funnily enough, the expression that came up, when I read this, was that eavesdroppers rarely hear good things about themselves, um, and even though this was amusing, it's at another level. I wonder how the dreamer would actually feel if, in waking life, someone said something equally ridiculous or nonsensical, to their face, not knowing that they were talking about them or talking about him himself. I think that there must be, stimulate some kind of reaction, even if it's just in the dream. And I wonder what that reaction from the dreamer would be about someone gossiping about them that way and to their face. Now, in the final dream, we're back to the churches again. There's another set of we, again, perhaps the dreamer and the dreamer's wife, again, not maybe implied, but not actually said. But after picking up the children from school, which implies that perhaps it was the dreamer and his wife, the at the narthex of a church, and they're having this, the dreamer's having a conversation with a male friend, and when someone suddenly tells them, shh, be quiet. On the other hand, while somebody was telling them to be quiet, another person is trying to encourage people to mingle and talk to each other, and hands the dreamer and his party, um, uh, glasses of Coke to drink. And now, just a little bit strange juxtaposition there. You've got two different attitudes again in the church being displayed. You're seeing a welcoming attitude, and then one that seems perhaps judgmental or even condemnatory, forbidding people to even speak. So, given all of that information, what can possibly connect these four dreams? Well, the first thing that came to me was that there seems to be sets of twos, in this dream. Two dreams that, act as like the sandwich, which speaks specifically about churches. The first and the fourth dream, and then the second and the third dream talk about, the demons within, you might say. The first and the fourth are demons without, in the exterior world, but the other two, the two in the middle, seem to express more inner demons, or the things that bedevil us, you might say. So in the first dream, you had the outer demons, wreaking havoc in society and making people more selfish. And in the fourth dream, again, you have the demons in the outer world, which are affecting behavior, with there's an expression that's, the devil can be in the pulpit as well as in the pews. So, and you have this event where people are being encouraged to be neighborly with one another and to deal with one another. And then you have some spoil sport who's telling people to be quiet. Um, Not very welcoming in a church, unless it was a part of a service, but it seems to have been a social event, and this person just was kind of spoiling the party a bit. Another set of twos, as I said, these inner dreams, this is the set meat in between the sandwich of the churches. You have um, two demons, you might call them, that things that bedevil us in waking life as well as in dreams, apparently. One is temptation. One dream talks about being tempted, or trying to tempt someone. And the other dream is the temptation, if you will, or the deadly sin of gossiping. This woman telling tales. So there's individual demons and kind of slightly demonic behavior, and then the wider society sandwiched on either side, kind of reinforcing that behavior. There's another set of twos as well, is that the two faiths that are specifically mentioned as being attacked by this demon, the one being Christianity and the other being Buddhism. And I said, well, if it's a demon wanting to wreak havoc with everybody, wouldn't the demon attack all faiths? Just a bit thought kind of strange there. But there's this duality being implied of the attacks coming from both within and from without. So there's a duality there again, too. So um, my final question here for the dreamer is that, is there a sense of duality or two natures or two perspectives, or a split of some kind that the dreamer perceives, either in their inner life or in their outer life, or a conflict between inner and outer lives, and creating these demons, some inside and some outside. There you have it. Lots of stuff going on there. Like I said, illicit proposals and demons and demons inside and outside walking about in the world. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a great evening and rest of the week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.